like comparisons. I know you're not supposed to make them, but I like them. When you make these, draft comparisons, you start digging into players. One of the questions I eventually get to is, okay, who's he remind me of? If I think he's good, then what is the precedent here? Who is someone like him who's been good before? I don't know how useful of an exercise is, but I like it, and it's my show.
Yeah,
we're gonna
fun.
Do it. All right, so let's start with Mac Jones. In your opinion, who is the NFL comparison for Mac Jones? Who wants to start off this exciting topic?
I'll go ahead and start. I don't think I've started yet. So I'm not going based off of throwing motion, but what I'm going off of is going to be based off of not necessarily the best athlete, but pretty good at anticipation and accuracy with the ball. So I'm going to go with the quarterback that I watched a lot, and that is going to be Phillip Rivers. And I think that Mac Jones and Phillip Rivers are similar in the sense that they're more need to have a clean pocket to be able to be successful. They're not going to be able to really scramble away from too much pressure. So unless they have a really good offensive line, they're not going to really be able to thrive. And they both have the same, I think, ability as far as anticipation and accuracy with the ball. Obviously, Phillip Rivers had that weird shot put style throwing motion, which Mac Jones doesn't have. But I think like overall game and as far as if Mac Jones could turn into a Phillip Rivers type player, I think that would be, a really high ceiling for him. But I see just the inathletic ability and need for like a really clean pocket for them to be successful. I see that as like similar type quarterbacks.
Who's next?
I can go with Mac Jones. I'm not a quarterback guru by any means of the word, but what I think of is I would
yes, you are. Shut up. Don't be so modest.
Yeah, I think of Andy Dalton when I see Mac Jones.
That's fair. That's interesting. That's
and
fair.
It's also the amount of excitement I had when Grant suggested Andy Dalton as a free agent signing. I was not thrilled about that. Andy Dalton has led his team to the playoffs a couple times, so there's not saying that there's not a workable quarterback there. I think Mac Jones can be a little better than Andy Dalton even, and then I'd say his floor is Andy Dalton's former backup, A.J. McCarron, who's another Alabama quarterback. And I think that's the concern with Mac Jones is, did he just succeed because he had all these great weapons? Right. And that was a concern with A.J. McCarron as well, who also won, obviously a lot more experience, but won a lot of games at Alabama with a lot of good talent. And that I just see Andy Dalton with Mac Jones. And if that's who they pick at 3, I still think the 49ers can win games with Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm. Anytime you get a chance to trade 3 first-round picks for Andy Dalton, you got to do it. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I struggle with making comparisons, and I've seen all the it's hard, and
we're not going to – it's not scientific. We're not going to hold you.
I want to play along with a couple of the answers that Maverick and Suneil came, because I haven't heard the Phillip Rivers comparison yet. I've seen a lot of the generic ones, like he's a Kirk Cousins, or someone called it, was it Ryan Clark? I forget which analyst that it called him the reincarnated Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. So I want to bounce back off, go back to what Suneil said, drawing that Phillip Rivers comparison. And again, this is the first time I've heard Mac Jones by anybody compare him to Phillip Rivers. If Mac Jones was to have a Phillip Rivers type career, and again, he wasn't on a lot of great teams, is that worthy of a 3rd overall pick? I'm kind of tilting this to go discussion based here because I don't have my own comparison for Mac Jones.
Okay. It's a tough one. Let me do my best. I think the Andy Dalton one is pretty close. I see what you're saying with Phillip Rivers because the accuracy, the anticipation, and he doesn't have a strong arm. Phillip Rivers is 6'5", though. So Phillip Rivers is a big, big boy.
Yeah.
Mac's a little smaller. He's a little more mobile. And I like him, but I just like him more than Tua. And I think Tua is going to be a fringe backup his whole career. And I think that Mac could be kind of like, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like the kind of guy who can have some stretches where it's like, this guy is real. Who does he think he is? I mean, the anticipation, the moxie, the way he throws downfield, like, wow, he really is a gunslinger. And then he has these weeks where he's like, dude, you threw 4 picks today. What happened, Ryan? Now, he didn't have this at Alabama, but no one really plays bad at Alabama. Everyone plays. It's easy. I mean, I think in the NFL, the way Mac plays, unless he's Drew Brees, and I see more of Ryan Fitzpatrick, which is, that's a 20-year career. That's something respectable, but he's always going to be kind of disappointing the team that paid him and then competing with someone else and then taking someone else's job and playing well for stretches. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, let's move on.
The forever bridge quarterback.
The forever bridge quarterback. Not exactly who you want to trade up for.